Hey everyone, my name is Ryan Robitaille, and I just wanted to start giving an overview of this new experiment I'm doing, Rabbit Remix. Just to get it out of the way, if you're super interested, sign up at rabbitremix.com. Should be releasing later this week in some form. But anyone who's followed any of my stuff knows that with Data Rabbit and with CanvasQL, respectively at datarabbit.com and canvasql.com, I've been experimenting the past few years with node and line systems, flow-based programming, and kind of how we can do that to create things, do some stuff in programming and closure, or in the case of Canvas, to do dashboards and data exploration. And since everyone's been talking about OpenAI, Chat GPT, text image generation, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of an experiment in that direction with this type of model and see how text flow, text merging, remixing, breaking could work in a Canvas system like this. So let me go to a blank canvas here. So with these AI systems, endpoints. I'm using OpenAI here in particular with their endpoints. The base of all that is prompts, right? Text. So breaking text up, moving text around, moving things together is kind of important. So I wanted to go over the basics of, quote unquote, text remixing here in this video, and I'll do some more cool stuff in subsequent videos later today. So this is my canvas. This is my kind of menu bar of things I have. The bottom part here, we'll see in a second, it allows me to edit the text without messing with the canvas. So let me add in a text box. So text is the basic, building block of all these things, right? I can go into here, I can double click, I can, type directly into the canvas, or I can come down here and change it down here, which can be helpful because maybe I have a really complicated flow graph, right? And I don't want to go in and edit it here. Maybe it's really zoomed out and I don't want to bother with it. So I can just say, hey, what do I have here? And, edit it as I see fit. It's just a handy kind of feature. So you can see as I add other paragraphs or sentences, it makes a new text block, because that's kind of the basic building block is a paragraph. Could be a sentence, could be a bunch of stuff, but that's kind of the atomic level here, right? So let me paste in some real text. It's not just hey, hey, hey. I'll go back. I'll edit this. I'll paste this. I'll paste in my sentences. Make this a little bit bigger. I just have some goofy stuff I was using to generate images. As you can see, each sentence gets its own block. And here it is. I have them in the body. Cool. I have this two things. I have send this out as a list, send this out as all. So if I send it out as all, it basically concatenates it together. And I could take something like this and send it to a prompt, which we'll get to later. And you might think, well, that's cool, I guess. Well, yeah, but this is where it gets interesting. So these are also their own objects, right? I can drag out this first paragraph. I can drag out this third one. And, now they're kind of on their own. And as you can see, the dotted line around them means it doesn't exist in this block. It means it's a reference to this piece of text in this other block, right? So I can have these two here. These are references. Let's say I create a new block. And I say, dark and stormy night. As you can see, there's no dotted line because it exists in this block. I could say, all right, well, let's drag this here. Let's drag this here. And I'll drag this here. And I'll drag this here also. So now we have three references in this new block, right? From different sources. And I could even add its own, because the body of this block has nothing in it. It's just references. So if I say, new thing, you can see new thing is kind of grayed out. It's in the staging area. Well, why isn't it mixed in here? Because we don't know at what position it needs to be. So if I drag that in here, new thing's in the bottom. I can move new thing up, new thing around. I can move these in different orders. So I'm basically taking the other parts of my text and mixing them together to form a new, a new prompt. So if I drag all out here, I have new text of the references and the bodies mixed together to form a new paragraph, essentially. And if I were to rearrange this, it would rearrange the text on the output. So we have that, right? So we have text, we're breaking it up, we're mixing it. Cool. Another thing that's super useful that I found is having lists and selections. So let me just cut and paste here. If I were to create a new text box, we'll do it this way. We'll drag out text. Awesome. And we'll go to edit this text and I'll paste in this list of things. All right, so I add my list. This could be anything, right? So it's a bunch of different, new line, paragraphs. I could say all, which would just merge it together as normal, right? And I'd have kind of what we have up here. Or I could say, well, this is a list, right? So I'm going to drag it out as a list, and we can see it's now comma separated and comes with a drop down, which is interesting because it's been decided as a list. So I can say, hey, I'm going to pick milk. And as we can see, milk is now kind of in this scratch pad space up here, which means I can take milk, drag it out as its own block, and now I have milk, right? I go in here and I change it to bacon, change it to eggs. What if I were to bring this guy out here and say, all right, we're going to put eggs. That's going to be in my sentence, eggs, and that way I can change milk, eggs, bacon. I can change things here. This is where the flow-based thing comes in, right? So I'm creating something new out of different parts. And when we get to some of the ChatGPT ins and outs, this will make more sense why this is cool. But kind of like we have the basic building blocks here of mixing text back and forth. Another thing I should mention is that this list object, which is super helpful, can also be pulled out of natural text, which is super important for something like ChatGPT. If I were to say like, hey, give me a list of like all the states in, the East Coast, right? I can say, 1, 2. This is also recognized as a list. So if I were to drag this out as a reference, I would have access to it. These down here, we can just minimize lots of these. It's only there for large graphs. If I wanted access to this easily, I come down here, I can change it, come over here, and I could change it. So that's kind of the text remixing. I'm going to make another video talking about the GPT chat and taking this to the next step and getting chat results from it. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Should be right after this. If you're interested in this, please subscribe, rabbitremix.com, and I'll see you in the next thread.